Lord Omni King. What is it? I said not to disturb me. So our story continues with an interesting sight back with the Omni King Vegito, surrounded by his multiversal counterparts, Grand Priest Gohan and Dragon God Piccolo, who stand watching patiently the unbothered Saiyan seemingly enjoying a peaceful nap. But regardless, his eldest son Gohan, with his angel-like eyes, would continue to question, "Now isn't really the time to sleep, Dad. You said you went to go meet with the other Vegito, didn't you? The God Killer. Well, what happened? Was he as strong as I said he would be?" But Vegito's emotionless and silent demeanor would almost immediately, on hearing this question, change into a sniggering laughter when he would chuckle out, "Actually, he was as strong as I thought he would be. Meaning, he was a total weakling. Unfortunately, he may have my good looks, but he had none of my power. He was a big disappointment, in fact. Goten alone would be enough to shut him up and probably his whole team. This tournament may have been a big waste of time after all. We got stronger, sure, but we definitely do not need to train anymore." "You're ending our training. You must be joking." But hearing this, no matter how confidently it would be uttered by the Omni King, the Dragon God Piccolo would still have his reservations, questioning, "Ending prematurely is not a good idea. No matter how weak you think he was, how do you even know he wasn't holding back? You stop now and allow him to continue on and surpass you, and I know you well enough that you will not take that lightly. And if you lost..." "You do know me well, Green Man." But before Piccolo could even finish what he was saying, a bipolar Vegito would already be bursting out into laughter and saying, "You're just going to have to believe me then. And as for what happens if I somehow got beaten by that imitation, well, let's just hope for all our sakes it doesn't get to that point." Before, with a more sinister smile returning, he would then turn to Gohan and ask, "But anyways, like I said, I'm hedging my bets that Goten will be the one to take him out anyway. But one question, where is that damn brat? I haven't seen him since we got here." To which the Grand Priest Gohan would respond, "You know him. He hasn't liked training with either of us for decades now. Not since you went too hard that one time. He's still training, even if we aren't. Practicing with the fourth, who he brought along here too. So we have another member on our team, even if we have some shortcomings." As Vegito, smirking back, would let out, "The fourth, you say? How interesting. He always did have a strangely close relationship to him. I guess they are technically blood after all. Well, bring him back soon. We can't have him getting any stronger than you, can we now, Gohan? You're supposed to reside above the 5 strongest. Ouch! But it would be just when they all wondered about the younger Saiyan that we'd finally get a view of Goten, aka Mr. 5th of the 5 strongest, and looking worse for wear, as with a bruised up nose and his eyes closed, wincing in pain, he would be seen shooting off backwards through the air, after clearly just letting an attack through. We're not done yet though! But Goten would soon find himself sliding back on the ground below, like an inelegant roller skater, still 100% in this fight. You never do hold back, do you, brother? As smiling through the pain, his nose still with a red hue over it, Goten would interestingly refer to whoever he was training with him as his brother. Unclear if saying that just to bond, or if he really meant it, as all we'd see is an unrecognizable fist in front of him, with strange black crystals indented between the knuckles, as Goten in the distance would just continue. I reckon we're more than ready now. How much longer do you think we'll need to train before we're sure we can win this thing for Dad? We'll train until we can pay that sorry excuse of a father back tenfold for what he did to me in his multiverse. The God Killer version of Dad is going to get his karma, one way or another. As in a shock return to the series, it would be Goku's half-Kai son, Zyko, of course from this new multiverse, as now apparently the 4th of the 5 strongest, and with a serious vendetta against the God Killer Vegito we know for how he treated his version of Zyko. As the demigod would then go on to elaborate, Castiel told me everything. That guy met me just like our dad did. And after fighting that version of me, and making that version of me change his ways, and want to bond finally with his dad, he destroyed him in cold blood, simply because of who his mother was. I'm not letting that Zykor's death go in vain. I'll get revenge for the both of us! As Goten, smiling, fired up by Zykor's conviction, would just reply, I heard the story too. That guy, Vegito, he's a real piece of work. It's crazy how different our multiverses went. But I agree, I'm not letting him carry on any further than this tournament. As now putting his thumb up with a smile, the warm-hearted Saiyan would just add, don't worry, bro. When you're there to land your finishing blow, I'll be right at your side to watch your back. Thanks, kid. As Zyko instantly, not wanting to be as sappy, would just nod in approval. But you won't be there if you get taken out too soon. We've still got a whole lot more training to do. But only to then jump forward with speed and excitement, eager to push himself against his half-brother more and more. Alright, but I'm not playing around anymore. As Goten, smirking and visibly beginning to power up, would already be prepared, with strange blobs of blue energy starting to levitate around him as his hair would begin flashing between black and blue also. Ready when you are! As just like that, as we may have predicted, Goten would then immediately transform into Super Saiyan Blue, the radiance of his aura flashing right in front of Zycor. But regardless, even in his base form, Zycor would clash perfectly and with equal strength to the fifth. Locked hand in hand, both their sets of teeth gritted as they would both give it their all. But soon enough, the two veteran fighters would know a battle of wills would get them nowhere, choosing instead to immediately jump back from each other to start again. And start again they would, as not long after, Blue Goten would come back in with speed, as Zycor would now be the one patiently waiting, his stance in position to take on whatever the fifth of the five strongest would now throw at him. And instantly, the two on the same wavelength, truly showcasing their brotherly link, would trade elbows on the exact same arm. Transitioning instantly into a ferocious back and forth exchange of blows all over the ground and skybox. The two even consecutively landing blows on each other's faces as if emulating each other. Come on, Goten! We won't stop him like this! But regardless, damage like that would be brushed off instantly, as they would just continue their onslaught of attacks, with Goten in particular launching several jabs trying to catch Zycor out. In the sky, clash after clash would be seen, as the two would just not let up at all. But soon both would explode away from each other again, but this time not by choice, their collision alone pushing them apart. But Goten in the air would already be tensing his muscles again, yelling now as he stares down, "Enough, Zycor! If you aren't going to transform too, then I'm ending this here!" As now coming down like a young Son Goku, with his head alone, Goten would fly straight down surrounded in aura like a bullet about to headbutt the demigod. Using that empty head of yours as a weapon, huh? Guess being stupid does have its uses. Just don't blame me when this next attack gives you brain damage! As Zycor, though initially smiling away, would be quick to dig his feet into the ground and pull his arm back, ready to equal Goten's velocity. And just like that, with the two young Saiyans screaming away and now both lifting a fist back, their bodies would come inches away from each other, about to collide and create an impact only a realm like the Elder Gods could contain. But out of nowhere, before the two could do such a thing, each of their arms would be grabbed perfectly, and with expert technique, Omni Vegito would appear out of nowhere to toss both into the foreground like they were misbehaving children. Father! Dad! When did you get here? And as the two would move through the air with crazy G-force, catching a glimpse of their father, both would be surprised to see and feel his presence. Long time, kids. And with an immediately awful smirk, looking at his own sons more like prey than children, Omni Vegito would let out, "You boys been having fun out here? I can sense you've both gotten wildly stronger. But surely, it's time you gave yourself a real challenge. Who's first?" And just as the Omni King would lay down the gauntlet on this challenge, by his side, his two aides, Grand Priest Gohan and Dragon God Piccolo would arrive. And the two Saiyans hearing this, surprisingly, wouldn't have any fear, but instead both be smiling, with Zyko commenting, "Of course, he'd be the one to stop both of us like that. What better practice for the real God Killer than our father, his twin?" As Goten would say, "This time, I'm going to get Dad back for what he did last time we fought." All while an eager Vegito would look up from below. "Ah! You're all here in one place! How convenient!" But all these plans would suddenly need to take a rain check when a voice would call out from seemingly the heavens and behind them. "Do you always have to appear at the worst possible time? I'm in the middle of some father-son bonding." As immediately, Vegito turning around and seeing him would be far from pleased. "Oh, Vegito, sorry, but my needs come first, and you know that. All of you, stop what you're doing and listen." As arriving precariously out of a portal would be none other than Elder God Castiel, having returned from his confrontation with Akobel and Zeus. But as he would come to a stop, what would come next out of his mouth would stun everybody, as he would say, "We need to talk about exactly how we'll be losing this tournament on purpose." What? As just like predicted, all five warriors would be simply shell-shocked. Training for decades now each, they simply wouldn't even be able to comprehend the words coming out of Castiel's mouth. Just what could he mean, and for what reason? This isn't what that damn god promised. But before any explanation could be given, we would suddenly be joined by a strange variant of Goku, the God Killer revealed by Hera to be in his team, his form unknown, as with his white hair but Super Saiyan 3-like eyes. It would be unlike anything we'd seen so far, standing silently with his hands in his pockets, clearly bored. But such boredom would be broken when the God Killer would sense something off around him. And in the realm of the Elder Gods, something off could really mean the difference between life and death. Idiot! As out of nowhere, coming to attack Goku would be the God Killer Vegeta, slamming a kick aimed for the Saiyan's head, but only to be stopped by Goku's forearm immediately. But the crazed Vegeta variant, with a scar on his eye, and another strange form unlike Vegito, would be letting out with a grin, "Kakarot, it feels so good to be attacking you again! Have you any idea how long you've been dead in my timeline? As the unimpressed God-Killer Goku, looking back, would just respond, I don't know, and I don't care. I killed you in my timeline to avoid such annoying attempts like this at one-upping me. When will you Vegetas learn? You can never beat me. What did you say, clown? Now I remember why you were my eternal rival! This comment, of course, immediately triggering the prince, who, suddenly reliving jealousy and annoyance from God knows how long ago, would immediately grit his teeth and flip back instantly into the foreground. Now in the air, he would slowly spread his arms and tell me, Kakarot, do you remember this? As suddenly covering his whole body in electrified energy and his arms still outstretched on either side, God-Killer Vegeta would be ready for one of his signature attacks. Final! As beginning to scream out the first word of his most powerful beam, I could care less about this tournament. Nobody disrespects and lives. No gods, and definitely no low-class warriors. Flash! As finally, Vegeta would unleash his final flash in a tremendous blast downwards, enough to keep up with any attack Vegito himself had shown in the past, as within an instant it would be right near Goku. The giant sphere-looking energy beam speeding hard and fast right at God-Killer Goku's face, but alarmingly, this Goku would not be moving an inch, as from the look on his face, he wouldn't be bothered at all, instead just whispering, as I thought. None of these guys are anywhere close to me. This won't even dirty my clothes. But suddenly, before Goku would even apparently let the blast hit him, a large round figure of a man would come right in front of him, almost like a bodyguard. Don't worry about this, partner. I'm here now. As unbelievably, this would be revealed to be Viku himself, the fat, failed fusion of Goku and Vegeta instead of Gogeta, as with a big smile on his face, he would be more than excited to see Vegeta's final flash. Did he just do what I think he did? And it would seem for good reason, as inconceivably, of all the ways you'd expect a Saiyan warrior to react to Vegeta's blast, Ultra Viku would wobble his sizable belly and smack Vegeta's blast away with just the fat on his stomach alone, like a Saiyan clone of Majin Buu. And as the beam would explode in the distance ferociously, a bemused Goku would just look on muttering, what in the hell was that? Before turning back to Viku puzzled and questioning, what was that for? I didn't need nor ask for your help. As trying his best cool guy expression, looking back, Viku would respond, I mean, we're a team, aren't we? We should probably learn how to fight together. You know, learn each other's strengths and weaknesses. Sorry, Fatso, but I have no weaknesses. But God-Killer Goku would have no time nor care for such comments, instantly flying past Viku from behind like he were invisible. going straight into the air, his target set on Vegeta, about to get his get back. This shadow! Where did that come from? But the sudden burst of speed would come to an abrupt stop when the god-killing Goku variant would find himself now completely covered by a strange and sudden sight. Kakarot! What? Broly! As coming down like a meteor in a sight none of us would like to be at the end of. God Killer Broly would emerge with both arms locked in behind his neck and a scream like he'd been waiting for this moment his entire life. Streams of violent red energy coming straight from his eyes themselves until... with a ferocious double-fisted slam like bringing down a sledgehammer, Broly would absolutely obliterate GK Goku right on his skull, moving past each and every defense the Saiyan with apparently no weaknesses would have. Immediately sending him into a harsh explosive collision with the ground in a gigantic debris-filled explosion of dust, smoke, and shattered rocks. Broly! When I get my hands on you! Goku, now left bitterly grunting on his backside, his annoyance finally on display as the smoke of his crash would continue to wade over him. But these four would not be alone, as yet another figure would be watching on in the distance. Cloaked up with a long jacket, he would be motionless. Dad, it's been a long time since I've seen him. Can't say I'm a fan of the new clothes. As standing there would be Gohan, this new dripped-out version a far cry from the nerdy Gohan we once knew, and an even further far cry from the Grand Priest Gohan of Castiel's multiverse. As with a stare forward, he would remark, "They're all so strong, but Broly seems to have the most raw power. Let's see how I compare." And just like that, much like his former master Piccolo, he would drop to the ground his weighted clothes and... my turn! As storming forward with a muscle-tight shirt and clothes, the alpha version of Gohan would be ready to make his mark. I forgot they had a Gohan here! Go on, my son! Leaving Goku to watch on as the two Saiyans, with the greatest potentials, Broly and Gohan, would steamroll ahead to each other. But it wouldn't just be Goku who would be left watching, as watching by choice, leisurely at his own pace, would be Ultra Gogeta. A grin on his face, with his hands behind his head, as he would just watch and say, "This is gold. It's like watching mini-me's fight for my entertainment all day. Who knew retirement, after annihilating all those gods, would feel this good?" But Gogeta's retirement and the battle of the God Killers would soon have to make way when we would be rejoined by the real OG God Killer, Ultra Vegito, arriving in a new land after entering his next time scroll. In front of him, another odd planet with structures and creatures along a completely moss-covered ground. But staring unimpressed with his surroundings, Vegito would just say, "It said he picked this out. Just as I asked, right? We'll see where his loyalty lies with this one. As looking around further, he would then turn his head and say, "So far, I can't sense anything worth getting excited about. That damn assassin may have pulled my leg after all." As following that, the God Killer would begin his exploration, eventually flying far enough that he would go past signs of life on the ground, noticing as he would look down, "This is what exists on this planet? What the hell was Hit doing? This isn't what I asked. Wait!" But as he would look closer at these many alien creatures, "Hold on, are those Saiyan tails?" But when we would zoom completely in, all of these strange alien creatures would indeed possess what appears to be a Saiyan tail, or at least a tail which belongs to a monkey at the very least. This has to be a joke! A bunch of half-breed freaks is the best you could find me, Hit! None of these are even remotely strong! As frustrated, he would pour even more energy into exploding forward with speed. Wait, what's this now? But curiosity would soon rise, when in the distance he would notice a structure unlike any of the others. A pyramid-like structure with an endless amount of stairs leading up to the top. As Vegito, seeing this, would then immediately change trajectory towards it. Almost instantly with his speed reaching near the top of the steps. As now closer, we would see clearly someone would be sat at the top, on a throne no less, overseeing everything. Wait, this one seems different. Who is he? As Vegito, taking notice, would now start approaching with caution. I see. You've arrived. As revealed now at the top would be none other than Kumba, a beastly-looking Saiyan yet to have ever made his appearance in the Ultra Vegito series, but now here in Klonoa's multiverse after all. And with that vicious red hue in his eyes, it would seem he was expecting Vegito. As raising his fist now, the ancient Saiyan from long ago would call out, "The Purple Man told me I would finally meet another full-blooded of my kind. I have ruled over this planet for longer than I can remember. You will not be taking this from me." Purple Man, so Hit visited you in advance. Good. Show me what my kind's power really is. Prove to me you are worthy. As suddenly standing up, Kumba would now demand bloodshed, but by the sounds of what he had said, it wouldn't seem to immediately be with him. As Vegito would be the first to sense the impending arrival of what could only be Kumba's royal guard. So this is the one! As suddenly, appearing in front of Vegito would be 4 warriors, but even these would be somewhat familiar to us, as what these were the original Garlic Jr.'s henchmen, now appearing on this strange mixed planet, and each with Saiyan tales of their own. As Vegito, looking around at them, would begin to remember. Dead Zone guys, and they have tails too. This multiverse really is quite strange. Everybody's a half-breed, but only one real Saiyan stands as the king. Meaning... As now looking at Cumber right above, he would say with a grin, "You're one dirty dog." All of these are your children, huh? As the continuing to grin Vegito would then be seen in a final page with 5 warriors of old to contend with, each with a rejuvenation in power, backstory, and even race. The battle between the God Killer and the one canonically known as Aku no Saiyajin, the Evil Saiyan, was about to begin.